All right, we're here with Dr. Dipali today and Residency Success. You guys already all know me. My name is Dr. Dada. We're speaking with Dr. Dipali because she recently took her OET exam, the dreaded exam that everybody, unfortunately, the IMGs who have not been able to sit for CS are preparing for. And Dr. Dipali has been kind enough to tell us her exam sort of preparation and what her experience has been. She literally took her exam yesterday. So thank you so much. You're a trooper for being here. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, okay. Hello, Dr. Datta. Thank you for having me today. And my name is Dr. Dipali. So I did my medical school in India and graduated last year in March 2019. Yeah, and I finished my step 1 and step 2. But I could not give CS because of COVID. So yes, I had to take the OET yesterday. And yeah, I'm here to talk about it and give you all the tips and tell you all about my experience.
Great. Tell us, how long did you prepare? Because from a layman's perspective, when I listen to your sort of command of English, I feel that it's relatively good. For someone, I guess, whose English command is not as good, do you think they need to prepare longer, or give us your feedback on that?
Yeah, definitely. So English is my first language. I've been studying English as the first language in school, college, and medical school. So I don't have a problem with that. So that's why I did not take as much time. But yes, people who are not very confident with their English do need a little more time to prepare. I would say about 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. But I took about 10 days studying 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay. I don't think I did any more than that, and it was very fragmented. But yeah, the only thing is with this exam, it's just about practice. Once you know the format of the exam, you just have to figure out where you're weak and just practice on those things. There's nothing more you can do really.
Let's talk about the format of the exam. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, yeah, so there are 4 parts. There is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So in each part, there are sub-tests. So in listening, there's parts A, B, and C. So in part A, you listen to an audio and fill in the blanks. It's usually a doctor-patient conversation. So you have to listen to it carefully and fill in the blanks. That part is relatively easy. Then the second part, that's part B of listening, is there's a paragraph. This is listening. Listening, they will talk. It's a conversation between a doctor, a patient, or just a nurse speaking. And there are it's an MCQ question. So there are 6, I think. So you got to listen to the audio. Right. And as you're listening, you can pick one choice. So there are 6 like this. So this is also pretty okay. You can manage because you have like about 30 seconds to read the question and your options, and then the audio starts.
I see.
So yeah, so you have time to process it and then listen carefully and then mark it. So that's not an issue either.
Okay,
it's okay. Yeah, so for me, part C was a little tricky because this part tests your reading as well as listening skills simultaneously. So you have 2 extracts with I think 8 questions. So you have 90 seconds to go through all the questions and the options. And then there's an extract. So they keep talking while they're talking, so you have to listen as well as mark the options. Okay. So it's just one continuous audio, and you have to be very attentive as well as keep reading and marking the options, and the options are very close. So you have to, one technique which I thought I could use is ruling out. The more you rule out, the better it is. It's hard to just pinpoint at one and say this is the right answer. I see. So yeah, so this part is a little tricky, which I think needed practice. So I practiced on this portion. The first 2 were okay. This is listening, and then we have reading. Okay. So reading is relatively okay again, 3 parts with reading. The first part of reading was, so the first part had 4 texts, part A, B, C, and D. and then you have to fill in the blanks. There are 20 questions. The only thing here is the time limit. You have 15 minutes to go through as well as fill in the blanks.
Okay.
But on the exam, it was a very easy extract, so we could manage.
Right.
Like some of the sample tests on their website, it takes a little time. So you just have to manage your time, because after 15 minutes, they ask you to stop.
I see.
So just glance at all 4 quickly, right, and then go over the questions. Don't sit and read everything word for word, because that'll take time. So just like quick glance, like in 2 minutes, and then start the questions. So that's okay. With practice, it should get better. Okay. Then, part B is almost similar to listening part B, but here instead of an audio, you have a paragraph. So you can read it, and then you have MCQs. Yeah, and you can pick one answer. So that's okay. Again, very close options. You just have to know which one to rule out. And and then there's part C. So part C is a long, usually some research article or any conversation sometimes, or some presentation by a doctor will be written, about 8 paragraphs, and then you have to answer. There'll be 2 of these, so you have to answer MCQs on these. So the good part about this is the questions will be in an order. So say in the first paragraph, what did this person mean by this? So you can look at that first paragraph, you can read it, and then answer the question. So the next question will say in the second paragraph. So it's all in an order. So you can read the question and the paragraph, and so that will be okay.
So the way you're making it sound is that it seems to me that you still need to have good time management skills, right?
Yeah. This? I think there are these 2 things, that's time management and focus. That's it. You should be able to read, interpret, and answer.
And we were discussing how there were some groups that were preparing together. I'm sure everybody has like separate study groups for this thing. And the website itself has some like good like things for you to practice. Are there any other places you practiced?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
Did you practice any other place besides the free?
There are 2. One is the official OET's website,
yes,
which has all the sample tests, and that's extremely useful. It is almost exactly like the actual exam. Okay. Then there's one more website called E2 Language, and their YouTube videos, as well as all the stuff on their website is amazing, especially their YouTube videos. If you just watch YouTube and on E2 OET on YouTube, you will basically be set. That's that good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's extremely helpful also, because
and also they have tutoring. They have one-on-one tutoring sessions. So if you're not confident with any part, you can also email them and ask them for one-on-one tutoring, which is really good.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, I don't have the bandwidth to tutor for an OET test right now. My hands full, but it would be an interesting undertaking, I think. Just like any exam, I feel like what you're saying is the more you practice, the better you become just at time management and execution of this stuff. And I definitely feel that, look, you have to have, I know people were complaining about the CS and with the pandemic and everything, but there has to be a way that the U.S. health system sort of feels that you have good communication skills in order to admit you into their medical ranks, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, and I feel like it's a doable test. So far, whoever I've spoken to has not said that it's so crazy. What is the length of it from start to finish?
So the length of it, listening, reading, as well as writing, took a total of 3 hours. Mm-hmm. One about 45 minutes each, but we had to sit there for a total of 3 hours. So it starts at 9 to 12.
Okay.
Then our speaking session, each of us they allotted certain time slots for all of us. So we had to wait there till our turn came.
Okay. So then you said something about the fact that you felt that it's being given differently in different regions. What did you mean by that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I meant, I've been reading a couple of posts on all these different forums, And I took my exam in Bangalore in India.
Right.
So here they're pretty used to conducting this OET exam because a lot of people take it to go before they write PLAB.
Okay.
So OET is accepted. If they clear OET, then they can go ahead with PLAB. So they're pretty used to it, and they knew the format of the exam. I'm talking about the examiners and everybody there.
Right.
So they knew everything, and the exam for me went on really smoothly. Like, we had no glitches, and everything was really good on exam days. So, we were not stressed out. But I've heard, like, in a lot of places in America, especially the new centers that have just opened up, even the examiners don't know what exactly to do. So just please be patient with them and, bear with it, because at least the exam is happening, because it's been canceled in a lot of places as well.
Yeah, this is an unprecedented time, as we said, Dr. Dipali, and I'm just happy the candidates that are currently working with me on other aspects of their application, because this is not a year to take chances at all, okay? Any other years are not the time to take chances either, but not this year. You have to make sure you are undertaking this with a degree of confidence and skill that, hopefully, like you said, you have friends that have gone through it, you ask them, you have been working together on different elements of your application. Whatever it is, make sure you have good feedback, people giving you the right advice, and prepare well, because you can take it again, but why go through the hassle again,
Yeah, especially now, because there are very limited spots and dates available. It'll be difficult to take it again.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, any kind of parting thoughts, things you wish that you knew before you started studying for this? I know everyone says, I wish I didn't stress out so much, but nobody can kind of stop themselves from the anxiety.
Definitely. Because, that's the one thing that you shouldn't let, I think, exam anxiety, because every single thing in that exam is all about staying focused and being attentive and managing your time. So if you let anxiety hit you, then definitely you will lose focus. Like, I wish I wasn't so anxious as well in the beginning, and listening was first. And I was like, oh my God, it's Part C. I know I'm not so good at it, and it's coming. And I was a little anxious, and I knew, like, I was messing up a few things in between. So I think anxiety is something that we shouldn't let it get to us, especially in this exam, because it's all about focus. That's it. And if you practice, I don't think it should be a problem.
So that's great, because that leads me right into the next program I'll be doing. It's September 20th. I'm doing it late at night to help accommodate all of our international people. So either 8 or 9 Eastern, it's September 20th for anxiety. I have a dear friend who is a neuropsychology PhD, and she deals exactly with the neurobiology behind stress and anxiety. So she will be joining us at UCLA, finishing her doctorate level program. So this is going to be a really good program for everyone, because the anxiety of what we go through is on a completely different level than any other background. Perhaps PhDs understand, but besides that, nobody else really goes through it. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Dipali. I think if people have any other questions, once I post this up, you'll be able to see it and directly address it. Yeah. And thanks for being with us. I know it's late.
Thank you so much for having me.
In Bangalore. Get some rest, and hopefully we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, if there are any doubts, please post them, and I will be happy to answer anybody's questions.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Datta. See you. Bye-bye.